First, as you might recall, Seth Rogen's brand was largely centered around marijuana. In fact, he just launched his own cannabis company. He's diversifying his portfolio in a way that's a little different than Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. Actually, that's exactly what he is doing. DiCaprio and Pitt produce a lot of movies that they're not in, and that's the case more and more, actually, with Rogen these days. I miss Rogen. I think he's a really fun on-screen persona. But particularly because I enjoyed The Boys so much, I like his producing work a lot. But on that note, over the last few years, even with his own movies, he switched his entertainment brand largely to raunch. And nowhere is that more front and center than with Good Boys. Maybe because it's a raunchy movie starring 12-year-olds. Maybe it's because it relies so heavily on sex toy gags. Like once you're like, oh, funny, and then you're like, you're bringing them out again? And again, sex toy gags with 12-year-olds. But hey, anyone can Google anything these days, as the characters in this movie do hilariously. And on that note, in the movie's defense, I laughed very, very, very hard many, many times during this movie, as did my entire audience. A good time was had, at least for the first 2/3, as we'll discuss. But I think that the reason that even though I had a little bit of a problem with the subject matter, I think the reason I ended up, enjoying parts of the movie so much is, one, because of a very clever script by Bad Teacher screenwriters Gene Stupnitsky and Lee Eisenberg. Stupnitsky making his directorial debut here, while Eisenberg is also a co-producer. Their script, by the way, focuses just on having a good time, rather than trying to take down religion, as you might recall Sausage Party did in its third act, or even maybe even for the whole second half, and that really derailed what was an equally funny, clever, and raunchy movie. Also, of course, produced by Seth Rogen. But again, the script is surprisingly clever. It's not just, it's lowbrow humor, but highbrow execution. Not that highbrow, but pretty impressive. And then, speaking of impressive, there are the performances. Jacob Tremblay has already proven without a doubt he is a fantastic dramatic actor. Room, Wonder, these are movies you should see. Not just for his work, but because they're really good movies. You want to know how Brie Larson got Captain Marvel? Go watch Room. Anyway, here he proves he's not just a strong comedic actor, very funny, but also strong leading man material, generating some major junior Tom Holland vibes, I think helped by the fact that he has a Zendaya-style love interest, although Millie Davis, while very charming, is far too passive in her role here. Maybe that's what the director wanted, but sometimes you gotta take some risks. It's a movie about three boys, and I would say, I'm going to touch on some strong female performances in this movie. I think everybody's well represented. But speaking of passive, that is not a word I would use to describe Keith L. Williams's performance. This is a breakout turn. Amazing! He's done some TV work. I'm not familiar with him, but I sure am now. His agent should send this movie to every single person in Hollywood. I think he will definitely get work off of it. Because there's a running gag, not only in the movie, but also in some of the promotional skits that they've done for it, that he looks the most like an adult out of the three. But he definitely has the comedic timing and confidence of an adult performer. He elevates countless scenes with incredible one-liners that he delivers just with like a true professional. And as I said, I think he'll definitely get more work off of this movie. In fact, while it's a bit concerning, and that did occur to me a couple times while I was watching the movie, that these young actors' parents would let them act out and say the things that are in this movie, the likely boost to many of their careers as a result is undeniable, which is an age-old conundrum in Hollywood. What are you willing to do in the short term for a long-term benefit? So on that note, is Good Boys an irresponsible movie? Would it be as funny with, say, 14 to 15-year-olds who would at least be starting out high school? I'm honestly not sure. I do know that this is a little squeamish, but I think that's part of the formula. And again, in today's internet society, I have no doubt that a lot of 12-year-olds will be able to relate to this movie. I also think the movie works hard to present, to its credit, almost all the kids as nice people who ask for consent before kissing a girl. I mean, it's also done as a joke, but they're very serious about that message. I thought that was great. That's a whole different conversation. I think for the purposes of this movie, considering how raunchy it is, it doesn't hurt to get permission, especially in today's environment. But anyway, they have great relationships with their parents, are respectful to authority figures, and hey, if you don't want to participate in the kissing party, there are activities for you upstairs. I would just advise all parents, older siblings, etc., to see this movie first before allowing anyone under 17 to see it. It's rated R for a reason, and it's a hard R. It's not on the line. I would say it's even raunchier than Deadpool. It's really raunchy. Now, should adults go see Good Boys? It does again star 12-year-olds, right? Is this movie for you? Who's it for? Well, it's not a must-see, I'll tell you that. And it runs out of steam at the end with the very last gag already given away in the trailers. I thought that it tried to end, I think, on a poignant note and then go for like a last minute laugh, but I think it failed on both parts. But the first 2/3 have some really strong gags, and there's one drug sale gone wrong scene in particular with a 12-year-old twist that I just thought was amazing. I was like, this is really clever. And it was not only well thought up, but incredibly well executed. Now, this ain't the new Ferris Bueller, but I would say it's likely the new Superbad, which I believe was the goal all along. Now, there are a couple of other actors here I think deserve shout-outs as well. Isaac Wang nails it as the coolest kid in school. He looks way younger than 12. They're all 12. I looked them all up. All the actors are actually 12, which is, well, I don't know if they were 12 when they filmed this, but that's a neat casting trick by the movie to make sure that they're actually spotlighting 12-year-olds. Stephen Merchant and Sam Richardson have hilarious cameos, both hilarious. Will Forte, Lil Ray Howery, and Retta make for great parents, while Molly Gordon and Midori Francis are very amusing villains. There's a chase sequence, and I thought Midori Francis really did a fun job with that. They're both very good. So again, I wouldn't rush to see Good Boys, but if you're looking for something to watch, be it now in theaters or later on with streaming, this is a pretty darn good time. Even if you do end up feeling a bit guilty, because again, it's 12-year-olds. All right, so that's my review of Good Boys. Share your own thoughts down below. Don't spoil any of the gags unless you put like a spoiler comment. You might want to maybe warn some people because, again, it's just so unbelievably raunchy for a movie starring 12-year-olds. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And, of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.